Alright, what's up fellas, gals, everybody? I'm Cletus. I'm going to make a little videos people have requested. A little bit, I'm going to talk about how to control the Slowrider here. I'm going to go through a little bit of how I built it and how it all works. Figure it's a good time. It's a little bit broken right now. I'm about to take it apart and fix it. Anyway, so the whole thing's really based on this. This is the radio link. It's a 7-channel transmitter. It's called a GS6 something or another, something like that. I don't know. But if you look up the radio link 7-channel transmitter, it'll probably come up. It doesn't come like this though. I added this wheel. It comes with this little knob that's back here, you can probably see, and I glued and screwed this wheel on. This wheel came from the model body that I put on the high roller. So anyway, I added that. This is just a cut up tire I stuck on there, so it's a little bit cooler looking. This is a phone mount, you know. Anyway, so it's a 7-channel transmitter. It came with a 7-channel receiver. But I didn't use it. I used the little bitty micro receiver that you see there. So I bought that. So I had this 7-channel transmitter sitting in my little drawer just staring at me. 7 channels. What can I do with 7 channels? Well, with 7 channels, that's just enough to do one on each wheel, one steering, one throttle, and plus you can plug your lights in. So that's what I did. High roller. I'm sorry, Slowrider. My wife thinks that the names I give these things are the dorkiest part of a very dorky hobby. Whatever. She already married me. She can't back out now. All right. How we control it. So you've got your standard front, back, turn the wheels. The fun stuff. You've got servos in the front, servos in the back. The rear steer knob operates the rear servos, both of them at the same time. Now the nice thing with the knob is that you can put it exactly where you want it, but you're limited to using both of the rears at the same time. You cannot use them independently. And then if you look here, I've got 2 3-way switches that are just above where I steer, so it's nice and handy for me to use. Each switch corresponds with one of the front servos. So flip your switch there, and now we're low riding. Flip it the other way, and the other way. Now we're lifted. And here, if you go forward, you're low riding. You go back, you're lifted. So that's it. It's not super complicated. One thing to keep in mind is that the way it's designed, the way I have it working, is that when it's all the way down, there is no flex. It pulls the travel out of the suspension. There's no flex when you do this, which is good and bad. You know, you can use it sometimes. If your tire's in a hole or you think it's about to go in a hole, you can, you know, lower it all the way, and then maybe you won't drop in the hole. You can pull it out of the hole, you know. Anyway, and so there is no flex, so that's why you see me not all the way down all the time. Just give myself a little bit of flex there, and now I can, you know, do what I want. And I think that is pretty much it as far as driving it goes. So let's talk about the build. Here it is. We're going to work our way from the back and work our way up. Well, I guess we'll do the top. This is 1969 GTX body. What is this, an AMT, I think? I don't remember. I'm looking at my box. Yeah, it's an AMT. I guess it's a 25th scale, probably. So it's kind of, in that when you buy these model bodies and put them on, they tend to be a little bit small. which the GTX is such a long car that even though it's kind of small, it ends up working, I think, pretty good on this one. You know, for instance, this one is a 24th scale model, and I've got C10 front links on the front and on the rear so that everything matches up in a scale. Anyway, so I like the body. I made the roll cage for it. Ugly soldering job, but I was about to grind it all off, and I said, you know what, I just kind of like those big chunks. I think it looks cool. Anyway, so yeah, so I made that, installed the lights. It didn't come with, you know, clear plastic. I actually cut these out of a bottle of rubbing alcohol. All right, now for the good stuff on the inside. Let me unplug it here. All right. So starting from the rear, this here is the 7-channel servo. I don't know how well you can see it there. It's a mess of wires plugged in, all 7 channels being used. That's where the action happens. It's the R7FG radio link receiver. And then up here, I've got the controller, the light controller. So it's put it in the back so it's right next to the receiver. It can stay plugged in as I lift the body. I don't have to unplug it all the time. Coming forward, we've got just a mess of wires. I kind of wrapped them all together. I've got the lights. I've wrapped them all together. I've got them kind of tied up. Just try and keep them out of the way. We've got a micro Komodo. I bought the super cheap transmission for it. All I really care is that I have, you know, metal gears, and I do. Here's the ESC. I had to do a little bit of modification on it. I cut this off. I'm making a build video, Sid. Why don't you just go ahead and come up and interrupt me in the middle of it? That's awesome. This is a good time to make my video because I only have one kid home right now. My wife and daughter are gone. My other daughter's gone. So that's all the interruption we're probably going to get. Anyway, all right, so I've got the ESC just kind of floating in there. I had to cut a little bit of the case off so that it would fit inside. So I just kind of cut off this little lip that was right here. That was it. So there it goes. And then the power cord goes through a hole in that bracket up to the front, out in between these front servos. The battery, I was going to put, my original plan was to put the battery here. Right here in this little gap between the front servo and this front bracket. That did not work out. The battery would fit in there, barely, but the wire stuck out and interfered with the movement of the shocks, of the servo horns here. So, mounted the battery here, put a little plate down here, got a twist tie. The battery goes in here. You just kind of tuck the extra cord in. Oops, you can't see. Tuck the extra cord in there. So that holds it pretty good. It is kind of visible when you drive it and you have the camera from the side. You can kind of see the battery in there. I'm not a fan of having wires and shit hanging out, but you know, whatever. You see a little bit of it. And then, you know, moving forward, we have these servos here. This is what's broken. You can see it. This bracket here is snapped. I actually snapped it when I fell off of a cliff. There's a video about it. The Slowrider falls from a great height. Feel free to look it up. Anyway, but I glued it back together, and the glue joint broke yesterday. This front one I need to also make. I also need to remake because this got stripped. The threads got stripped out when I fell off that cliff. So I'm about to rebuild both of these brackets right here. What else? This is a very heavy machine. Of course, it's top heavy. The servos end up adding about 200 grams of weight. The body's a hard body. Nothing's light about this, or nothing is low COG. So I had to make it that way. So to compensate, I've got super heavy tires, wheels. The wheels are made out of brass. These front wheels, these DJ crawlers come with 2 pieces of foam, a real hard inner foam and a soft outer foam. There is no outer foam. They're filled up to about here with BBs. Just to keep it heavy, keep the weight forward. It does weigh out to 61% forward bias, I believe. It weighs altogether 1,027 grams, maybe a little bit different. I've done a couple of different things to it, but it's a super heavy machine. Therefore, I don't know if you can tell, but my springs I've used the heavy springs. When you buy your shocks, you get light, medium, and heavyweight springs. I've got 2 of the heavyweight springs in each shock. When I put them in there, I said, man, this is going to be overkill. But it turns out that the battery's charged. But it turns out that it's working really good. I didn't want them to compress. When it comes up, I wanted it to be able to get some height. If it all compressed all the time, then really picking it up wouldn't do very, very much. So yeah, I think it worked out really well. I really like how the tension on the springs is. I think it's just perfect for it. So what else? I think I have covered everything. Now it's got these what do you call them? Muse isokinetic, trisokinetic. I don't know what you call them, but they're the Muse axles. Get nice sharp turns out of them, and they're pretty good. I'm not displeased with them. There's a couple of things I'd like better, but I'm not going to get into it right now because here come more kids. Looks like people are coming back, and this is going to get weird. So I think we've gone over a lot. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and hit me up. I will provide answers, and if there's anything that you want to see me make it do, let me know. All right. Adios, and thank you.